Alright, we're back. Okay, we're going to show you the installation of the stud itself. So I'm going to explain a few things here so you'll understand why we designed our studs a certain way. Here's two different studs. These two studs are made by two different companies. The one on your right there is made by CCC. It's a universal head stud. It's made for the alignments as well as the other ones. It simplifies the entire operation and is planted at full depth. The stud on the left there, as you can see, is a shorter stud. The reason for that is because it cannot be planted at full depth. And this base here that you see is stuck into the top where the alignment dowel once was located. And this aligns your head. You know, and that's all fine and dandy if you want to go that route. But the thing is this stud here goes to the same block. And the reason it's longer is because it goes that much farther in. Now another thing about these two studs is you can see the length of the thread. So if this is an alignment stud and this is an alignment stud, you can see the one on the right has less threading. So it's got less holding strength than the one on the left. So now on the one on the left, what we've designed is one that's got maximum threads and then it's planted at maximum depth to get maximum clamping force at the top of the block. So anyhow, I'm going to show you how these are planted and why we don't use this one. One is what I just described, and another reason we don't use this is the same size as this hole and makes full body contact. So if you use any kind of thread locker and then this part here enters the top and it's tight and you have to use a pair of vice grips to get the rest way in there, you're just building up massive pressure down below the stud. And the idea is, with any kind of stud, and you use the thread lockers, and you'll see this in cautions and fasteners in any General Motors manual, that the thread locker on this thing allows the air to pass by. So when this makes its way to the bottom of the block, all the air has passed by and there's absolutely zero pressure. So what we've done is we went back to the original design that came with General Motors engineered, and that was to put this stud where it belonged in the block, and that was at the base of the hole that was put in the block for it. So after you've drilled your hole and tapped it true vertical, you should be able to put these in by hand. So if not, it's really not a big deal. If they're a little bit tight, which a lot of times they are, you just simply put a pair of vice grips on it. And we'll see this one here is definitely not too tight to go in by hand. I think that has a lot to do with the vertical hole. But yeah, there we go. And so it's down at the bottom, and it really only has to touch the bottom. You know, you want to get right down into where it touches and then stop at that point. And what we supply in your kit from CCC is a barrel pin. A barrel pin is the alignment dowel. Our barrel pins are springy, so you can actually put these in much simpler. You don't have to beat them in with the hammer. You're supposed to be prepared with this, so just take a simple pair of pliers. I like these because they're kind of round right there inside, and you just put that around there, and as you can see, it's spring loaded, so it's easy to put in and take out. So after you got your stud in, and this is only on the alignment stud, on the rest of them they just go to the full depth like that one. But on this one, you just simply slip that down over the top, take your pliers and bend it in just a little bit, get that going. I like to use the pliers as the hammer, like so. Pinch a little bit. See, it slips right in. Now the idea with this is, you know, we do a lot of racing applications, so we remove heads, and if we decide to discard the block, we'll save these studs. These studs are worth a lot of money, and these studs can be reused many times over. So there's your alignment dowel. It's absolutely precision put in. It's in the same size hole. This is the same size as the original dowel, and it will perfectly align your head. And you will not fight to get this down. If you're using an alignment jig and you get this hole off where this stud is not vertical, what happens is that side of your alignment base pin or stud If it's slightly leaning in the outward direction, then it's not in alignment with your head, and your head can't stretch. So you have to like hammer it down, and it's not good. Whenever you have to apply pressure and torques and twisting and impacting and pulling apart, you don't want that in a high torque application. So it's good not to go with these. This is definitely a bad design. This is like an aftermarket design. I mean, we're all aftermarket, but this right here is a poorly engineered design. So we did away with this right away, this stud, and when we came up with the proper one. And so that's like a second choice stud there. So here I'm going to show you what this is cool about this. If you grab this, you can just at any time you can pull this pin right back out and align it down. And what's cool about the barrel pin is if you ever need to take your head off or do any kind of work to it whatsoever, you can always take this out. And if you've ever fought one of these, taking it out when you're working on the engine, you know what I mean. So we'll just slip that back in, squeeze a little bit, and once it's down there, let go, and you're nice and tight. And then that head's going to lock down real nice and tight right over top of that. So there you have it. You got a true vertical hole. You drilled it out perfectly true vertical. You tapped it nice and vertical. You were able to put the stud in by hand, and it's true vertical. And then on your alignment studs, you were able to just simply put the alignment dowel back in based on the original concept from General Motors. The depth of the stud is based on it, which expands the clamping force being pulled up to the head. And so you got a much nicer, stronger application. Now our studs are much stronger than the previous studs that have been on the market. These are a 4140 annealed steel that go through an extreme heat processing, and then they're glass beaded to get the finish and the scales back off of them. And we worked with you know, on the concepts of the engineering with ARP and with NCCC, and came up with this stud. And this stud outperforms the block, which is what we were after. So by far this is the only stud on the market that meets these qualifications. And so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorials. If you have any questions, just pick up the phone and give me a ring, and I will help you the best I can. Take care for now.